Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hoops Hall of Fame podcast. This is Matt Lehner. Today, I want to address a question about procrastination. What do you do when you can't get yourself to make a decision to actually do something that you know you need to do? More so when you're caught between two different modes or two choices that you could make. When you're stuck in the middle, one day you wake up and you want to do one thing, and then the next day you wake up and you want to do the other thing, the other option. What do you do when you're caught in this situation? Well, obviously, if you have two choices that you're stuck between, it could be more than two, but if, for example, if you're stuck between two choices, two paths that you could take, obviously you have a goal in mind, and both of these paths theoretically could lead to your goal. But what do you do? Which one is best? What can you do in these situations? Well, a lot of people will tell you to do a pros and cons list. What are the pros of each choice? What are the cons of each choice? Some people will say just add up the pros and cons, and whichever one is higher, you go with that choice. If it's a bigger decision, like what school to go to for college, or what job to work for, a bigger decision, what relationship to get into. When it's a bigger decision like that, sometimes it's best to take some time and actually think about the decision, to sleep on it. You don't have to make a decision right in the moment. But what you have to realize is that a lot of successful people, they are action takers, meaning that when they're presented with a choice, they act quickly and they make a decision quickly. And, they're able to do this time after time. But when we're talking about bigger decisions here, what do you do in these situations? Like I said, some people will tell you to do a pros and cons list. I've done this myself. It can be beneficial, but what you have to realize is think to yourself, ask yourself, if I were to make either one of these decisions, if I were to go with decision A or decision B, think about, down the road after you've made either one of the decisions, which one do you think you may regret most? Like I said, most regrets that people have are regrets of omission, not commission, meaning that people regret the things that they don't do rather than the things that they did do. So when they look back on their life 5 years from now, 10 years from now, a lifetime from now, when they look back, they regret the things that they didn't do rather than the things they did do. So depending on whatever situation you're struggling with, whatever two choices you're struggling with, whatever choices you're struggling with, ask yourself, which decision would you regret not trying? Which option would you regret most? What choice would have the most potential consequences if you didn't take that action? Which choice could have the most potential benefits to your goals if you were to make that decision? You take the time to actually think about it, but you have to realize that you can't get stuck in this mode of rationalization, trying to think about things logically. You do this to a point, but most people get stuck here. See, they get stuck in this rut of not being able to make a decision, overanalyzing, thinking things through so much that they don't actually make a decision. You have to realize if you're going to get anywhere in life, in any area, basketball, business, relationships, anything, you have to make a decision that's logically thought through in the case of bigger decisions in life, but a decision that you have to make, and you have to be 100% for that decision in the moment and then deal with the consequences later on. So again, think through the two options that you're struggling with. Ask yourself, which decision has the most potential regret in that decision? Which decision that if you were to make that decision could have the most potential benefits, but if you were to look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, a year from now, a month from now, which decision would you regret not making? And from my experience, this is the best question to ask yourself in this situation, because the decision that has the least potential to regret the most, meaning that which decision you will regret the most if you make or don't make, that's the decision that is probably best for you in that situation. So again, ask yourself, if I make decision A, will I regret doing that more so than not doing decision B? Or if I make decision B, will I regret that more than making decision A? And again, whichever decision that you will regret most for not making, then that's probably the decision that you should make in that situation. That's a question that I've found helps the most in this situation when you're caught between two different options of things that you could do, two different paths that you could take. This is the question that I found helps the most. And I think it'll be, of great benefit to you, whether you're trying to choose which school to go to, which program to do, which trainer to listen to, or which program to do. These are, again, smaller decisions, but at the end of the day, like I said, you have to make a decision, and you have to act, and you have to deal with the consequences no matter what decision you make, because at the end of the day, you have to make a decision and then 100% put your full effort and energy and passion into that decision to actually be able to make anything of it. So again, think things through, ask yourself which decision will I regret most, whether that is omission or commission. Ask yourself that question, and once you've done that, make the decision and then act on it. Put in the effort, put in the time, and you will get to where you want to be in your life, in your basketball career, any area, if you act and put in the action. All right, everyone, thanks for listening to the Hoops Hall of Fame podcast. This is Matt Lehner. Please like the page Hoops Hall of Fame on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and as always, I will talk to you again on the next episode of the Hoops Hall of Fame podcast.